All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Midwest Large Region webinar hosted by Future Peds Res. Thanks so much for being here. We are nearing the end of our webinar series for the summer, but are so happy to introduce you to the Midwest region this evening, and more specifically, the large programs of the Midwest region. So thanks for spending your hour with us, and we are going to go ahead and get started. So to introduce the FPR team, I will start us off. My name is Caroline Maltese. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a fourth-year student at Penn State College of Medicine, and I proudly serve as one of the co-directors for the Future Peds Res organization for this year. I work alongside Stephanie Maeda. Her pronouns are she, her. She's a fourth-year student at Western University of Health Sciences, and unfortunately, she was not able to be with us tonight, but she works diligently behind the scenes to also make sure all of these webinars go off without a hitch. All right, and I would also like to acknowledge our APPD faculty advisor, Dr. Michael Dell, who is the Vice Chair of Education at Case Western Reserve University School of Medicine, as well as Colleen Hughes, who is the Associate Executive Director for APPD. I would also like to acknowledge our concept faculty advisor, Dr. Rachel Thompson, Assistant Professor Pediatrics and Director of Pediatric Undergraduate Medical Education at the Boston University Chobanian and Avedisian School of Medicine. These individuals have made tonight possible, and we are super, super grateful for all of their support and all the time and energy that they invest into this group as well. It is now my pleasure to introduce to you all of our Assistant Directors of Webinars of the Midwest region.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anna Geiger. My pronouns are she and they, and I'm a fourth-year medical student at Des Moines University in Iowa.
Hi, everyone. I'm Victoria Morrill. My pronouns are she and her, and I am also a fourth-year medical student at Rosalind Franklin Chicago Medical School.
We would like to introduce our FPR webinar associate director working hard behind the scenes tonight, Sheena.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sheena Bedi. My pronouns are she, her. I am an international medical graduate from D.Y. Patil Medical College, India, and I proudly serve as the Associate Director of Webinars for FPR this season.
And now let's dive into the goals for tonight.
So again, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. We're so excited to have everyone here for our Midwest Region Large Program webinar, and we're grateful to all the program directors and assistants, as well as the coordinators and residents who have taken time out of their night to be with us. Our series goals for the regional webinars team are providing pediatric residency applicants with the following: foundational knowledge surrounding the virtual interview season, well-rounded insight into the benefits of programs by region, and a devoted time for live Q&A. So we'll be transitioning to 2 different breakout rooms shortly. In each room, applicants will be able to learn about some of the programs and ask questions at the end. All the breakout rooms are recorded, so if you're interested in learning about other programs that are not in the breakout room that you're in, don't worry, we will send out the recording and it'll also be uploaded to our YouTube channel as well. But before we move on, we would like to have the APPD representatives of the Midwest region states, Dr. Ben Zion and Dr. Burrows, to start us off and talk about the Midwest region a little bit.
So hi, everyone. We're so excited to be here. I am Sabrina Ben Zion. I am the chair of the APPD Mid-America region, and I have my co-chair, or my vice chair here, Dr. Burrows from the University of Michigan. And we just wanted to give you a brief overview of kind of who we are on this webinar. So does anybody know, we skipped over it briefly, but that was a Buckeye tree. And I promise not to be biased to Ohio State or Ohio in general. So as you can tell, we are 14 programs represented in 7 different states. And our program sizes are ranging from 64 to greater than 100, and that's total. And then all but one of us, actually my program, trains combined ped specialty programs. So we all do categorical pediatrics, and then most of us will train either IM peds or peds neuro or something like that, peds genetics. We train between all of us, and I think I did a wrong calculation there, but I'm pretty sure I got everybody right. And between all of us, we train about 400 of the categorical peds positions for interns, which is about 13% of all of the positions. And then my other calculation that I think I did wrong was just between all of the IMPs and the genetics and the neuro and the EM and everything else, we train a lot more of those residents. My denominator was probably a little bit off, but what I was trying to say is basically this region is very robust and we train a lot of pediatricians. So what does large mean? You guys probably remember, but less than or equal to 30 residents is small, 31 to 60 total residents is medium, and greater than 60 total residents is large. I'm advocating for another category of greater than 100 residents should be extra large. But that means that each class size in a large program can be as small as 20, or it can be like 40 plus, so your intern class. Again, not all of them might be in the categorical peds program, but they might be in some of these other specialties or combined programs. And then why would you choose a large program? So really the driver of a large program, it really is how big the hospital is and how much coverage is needed. So some advantages of large programs is that they tend to be referral centers and they take care of more complex cases. They tend to have more subspecialties, or the departments are bigger and they tend to have more fellowship programs. They tend to be in or adjacent to more urban areas or bigger cities, which can mean that there may be more diversity in the population there. And they also have, sorry, I can't see the bottom line there. I don't know if
because of those large programs, it's so much diversity. We have a lot of flexibility for providing backup and coverage if jeopardy is needed.
Exactly. That's what I was meaning to say, is because you have more people in your program, usually you can accommodate a leave or if somebody is sick or things like that a little bit easier, a little more flexible. And I am going to turn this over to my vice chair and let her finish up.
Excellent. Before I do that, I'm going to answer the question in the chat, which is, what is jeopardy? Jeopardy is kind of like the term we use for backup. So if you call in sick and somebody needs to cover, there's usually one or a pool of residents who are on what is called jeopardy, and they're sort of backup. They get called in depending on how your program functions. Sometimes they may be on another elective where they're doing something else unless they get called in, or they may be just hanging out, waiting to be called in on jeopardy. It sort of depends on how your program functions. But it is a funny term, but it's a term that's used across medicine, not just as a resident. It's my husband also takes jeopardy call as a hospitalist. So I get the easiest thing to talk about, which is why the Midwest. You have come to the right program, right region. As you can tell from even the beginnings of the chat in here, we all think this is the very best region. We get to see all of our colleagues on these webinars, which is really fun. There's a lot of great programs in the Midwest, which means there's great programs in proximity to one another, which really helps if you want to be near friends or if you're couples matching. There's going to be a great option for you and for your friends and partners so that you get a chance to see each other. It is, of course, the best part of the country. We get all 4 seasons. We rarely hit over 100 degrees, which this summer, as I hear about this happening all over the rest of the country, I'm like, phew, glad I'm here. We have beautiful parks and lots of opportunity for outdoor activities, from, tubing in the summer to skiing and snowshoeing in the wintertime. It's easy to travel both by car, but also flying around. There's several regional general hubs for some of the major airlines. And so it's really easy to be able to get to other parts of the country. So if you want to live close to your family, but not too close to your family, this can be a good option for that. Really great cost of living. And if you generally look at resident salaries, Midwest resident salaries tend to be higher, and it goes a little bit further because of the cost of living in the places where we are. As I sort of mentioned about being close to your partner or your friends, family, community really tends to be a high point of the Midwest. You know, that is the reputation that we have, and I think we live up to that. And so really having that opportunity, whether it's your family that you were born to or the close family that you're going to form with your resident classmates and resident teammates, it will feel like a really close group of people. Also, as I pay attention to many of the news that come through this year, we almost never say never, but we almost never have earthquakes. We really don't get hurricanes. We, knock wood, don't have huge wildfires. This is the place to be from a weather standpoint, and we have a lot of water. So when the rest of the country is water restricted, we're going to be in luck. I said not no tornadoes, right? So as one of our colleagues, Emily Borman-Shope, will say, the Midwest is the best, and we all believe that very strongly. So takeaways that we want you to have in general about here and about the conversations that you're going to hear in the breakout rooms is, and you may have heard this if you've attended any other seminars, all the programs in pediatrics have to follow common program requirements set by the ACGME, but every program is going to have some unique focus and opportunities, and that's what we really want you to get to know. And each program is going to be the right place for certain people. And so we want to find the right people from our programs as program directors, and we want you to find the right program for yourself as students looking to go into, again, the best field ever of pediatrics. Really getting to know why residents love the program, having an opportunity to hear from them is going to be really important. We all have things that we're doing great. We all have things that we're working on. Does that align with your focus and your interest? Does it seem like programs are receptive to the thoughts that you have? As you probably have all heard, we're all preparing for a major change in our curriculums over the course of the next year. So we're going to be sharing that with you during our recruitment process. What does that conversation sound like? How do you like it? We're all going to be trying things in the next year. There's going to be opportunities to provide focused feedback as we all produce PDSA cycles of our new curriculum. And again, think about where you want to be. Residency is going to be hard. Medicine is hard. One of the things that makes it really special is the group of people that you get to be with. You want people who are going to be a good support for you, where you're going to feel like you have those connections, both with the people within your program, but also with your support system outside of residency. And so keep that in mind as you look at different programs, and pick the Midwest because it's the best.
Well, thank you both so much for such a wonderful presentation of what the Midwest region has to offer. I'm going to have the attendees take a moment to pull out your phones and snap a picture of the screen so that you can easily refer back to when bouncing around between breakout rooms. The slide will also be, will remain shared in the main breakout room during the entire webinar. Now we will be going into our breakout rooms. Throughout the webinar, you can ask questions using the chat in the chat box on Zoom, and you can also amplify insights or what you have learned from the webinar on Twitter using hashtag FPR webinar and hashtag PedsMatch 2025. Now we'll give everyone a few minutes to join their respective breakout rooms. And welcome to room 1. My name again is Anna Geiger, and my pronouns are she and they, and I'm a 4th year at Des Moines University, and I'll be your moderator for this evening. Again, we have our wonderful FPR Associate Director working hard behind the scenes tonight, Sheena. I would like to give our program representatives I would like to invite our program representatives to give a short presentation of their programs for 5 minutes during the first part of the evening, and then we will take questions after all of the presentations. Attendees, you can, however, leave your questions in the chat as we go. We encourage programs to make use of the chat and answer any questions they have in case we run out of time. To ensure all programs are adequately represented, each presentation is limited to 5 minutes. When you hear the sound of my timer, and here it is. Oopsie, it's trying to make it for 50 minutes. That will mean you have 30 seconds left, so if you could please wrap up your thoughts. Our first program of the evening is University of Minnesota. I would like to invite your representative to unmute and tell us about your program.
No, I saw Emily on the call, so I don't know if she's just maybe still in the main room, but she's definitely here.
I think we can go around to the next
Okay.
program, and then I'm gonna go check if Dr. Shope is there, and then we can let her in. Is that all right?
Sounds good. So then we'll have Washington University in St. Louis. If you would like to unmute and tell us about your program.
All right. Wasn't expecting to go first, but I'll do it. I'm Katie Wolf. I am the program director at St. Louis Children's Hospital, WashU in St. Louis. I have been the program director here, just finishing up my first year as PD, and I've been here since 2021. Like most of the other programs that you're going to hear about tonight and throughout the season, we are a large freestanding children's hospital in an academic medical center in a Midwestern city, but we serve not only our immediate area, which is an urban area, but also we have a large suburban and rural catchment, and really see the breadth and depth of what pediatric training has to offer. We're a level 1 trauma center. We have a 40-bed NICU, 40-bed PICU, and 140-bed NICU. We do all the transplants and all of the support therapies, and really see everything. The way that we are structured, we have a block schedule, but it allows most of those blocks include both inpatient and ambulatory time. And our schedule is really split about 50-50 inpatient and ambulatory time, with a good amount of flexibility in either direction, depending on your interests. We have a robust simulation curriculum that includes interdisciplinary in situ simulations, as well as resident-focused and targeted simulation curriculum. We offer 3 pathways that are longitudinal through your 2nd and 3rd years of residency, and have dedicated curricula and elective time. And those are in teaching, advocacy, and global health. They have a lot of mentorship associated with that. And another unique feature of our program is how we do our longitudinal continuity clinic. So we have, it's called COPE, and it's the Community Outpatient Pediatric Experience. Our residents are paired with a preceptor or a small group of preceptors who work in the community, and you spend a half day once a week for 3 years, in addition to about 8 weeks additionally in their clinic. So you're spending time one-on-one with a community pediatrician in the outpatient setting, and really getting to see what it's like to be a general pediatrician in the community. These community sites range from our general academic pediatrics on site to WashU affiliated private practices, to federally qualified health centers, both in Missouri and on the Illinois side of the St. Louis area. It's a unique experience for us. We have a commitment to providing equitable and just care, and have integrated a lot of DEI into our curriculum throughout time. And we have a great international community here at WashU, and a growing amount of support for our international medical grads who join the WashU GME community. We have residents on both J1 and H1B visas. From a wellness perspective, I am of the mindset that wellness is highly individual. And so we have a lot of different ways of helping our residents enjoy and find themselves during residency. And we have free counseling services, group debriefing sessions for those who want that. There's a variety of perks, which don't necessarily mean wellness, but definitely don't hurt. Daily catered lunches, Monday through Friday, free covered parking, an educational stipend to be spent how you see fit as a trainee for your own residence, for your own education. We have a really robust support for our residents who are or become parents during residency, which we've had many over the last couple of years, and really are able to support our residents in that way. And we have some friendly competition here with a residency house system, sort of a la Harry Potter, that has been a very fun way of inducing some some community and friendly competition. As was mentioned in the intro, and I think this is probably not the audience that needs to be convinced of this, but the Midwest really is the best place to live. And St. Louis is a really wonderful city. We have that sort of great mix of the large city amenities with the good things about a smaller city. It's really affordable, easy to get around, places for pretty much anybody, not too far from the hospital. We have the largest city park in the United States across the street from our hospital, and it houses a zoo, many museums, and tons of free activities. Pretty much everything in the park is free and readily accessible with just crossing one street. We also have 3 major sports teams, 4 if you count arena football. And we have tickets to those for our residents available throughout the season, as well as a lot of other really wonderful things, tons of breweries and other great things for our residents to experience. So we look forward to meeting you guys during the residency season, and thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Wolf, for sharing about your program. We would like to go on to University of Minnesota. So if your representative would like to unmute and tell us about your program, that would be great.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Borman-Shope. I'm the program director at the University of Minnesota. I feel very proud that my very simple Midwest is best gets attributed to me as the person making that quote. One of the things that's tricky for all of you as you're exploring residency programs is we have a lot of things that are the same. So some of what you're going to be trying to figure out is, do I want to live in that city? Is there a specific specialty that I'm really interested in? Just hearing the WashU presentation, I was like, yep, we've got a lot of the same stuff going on. I will say among Midwest programs, the thing that's quite unique about the University of Minnesota is that we're a multi-site program. So we're really distributed in where the residents rotate. So the University of Minnesota Children's Hospital is our kind of academic home base, tertiary quaternary care, blood and solid organ transplants, lots of subspecialty rotations, tons of elective opportunities. So our residents do their NICU and PICU and 2 of their 3 ED months. And spend about half of their time there. And then our other big training partner is Children's Minnesota, which is a freestanding health system that has 2 additional beautiful freestanding children's hospitals that, again, provide really high level of care, very specialized care, but they're separate buildings. And then all of our residents spend about 3 months at Hennepin Healthcare, which is an urban safety net hospital and cares for a lot of families who may be uninsured or underinsured. A lot of our immigrant and refugee families get their care at Hennepin Healthcare. And it really provides our residents with a tremendous opportunity to kind of personalize their experience. So about half of your residency is the same for everyone, and then about half of it is really flexible. All of our residents have 10 rotations that are totally open for them to choose what electives they want to do, if they want to do global health experiences or research months. We also have a very flexible parent policy that's super important to us. We got to walk the walk as pediatricians. So I would say our average parental leave for birth parents is probably about 14 to 16 weeks, and our average leave for non-birth parents is 10 weeks. We have across the whole University of Minnesota standard 6 weeks of paid leave that does not extend your training, and then an additional 4-week parental elective. So I think we stand out in that regard in our support for new parents. We have a really active trainee Jedi Council, Justice, Equity, Diversity, Inclusion that includes residents and fellows. They have subgroups that help to guide our recruitment processes. They help to plan our curriculum. We have academic half days, which are structured protected time for learning every Friday from September through June. Every single resident in our program is excused from their clinical work to come together just to learn together and be together in community. And that's been a huge strength of our program that we've had for over a decade. And that really opens up creative opportunities for us to bring in community speakers, do hands-on clinical skills training, and although when you're in med school, you never think you will miss the first and second year when you're sitting in a lecture hall and sort of like soaking up knowledge. You will miss that when you get into the depths of, intern year and second year, and you're just kind of doing all the time. Pretty much every fellowship you can think of, we offer. We have some unique fellowships, obesity medicine. For those who are hem-onc interested, you can stay afterwards and do a BMT or a neuro-onc fellowship. If you have any interest in global health, please check out our global health program. I would say it's one of the first and most robust in the country, and something we're really, really proud of. Lots of advocacy opportunities, community engaged work. Our special pathway is our PSTP pathway. So if people are interested in the 2+4, the integrated research pathway, we offer up to 2 positions per year in the PSTP pathway. We're super excited that we're restarting our child neurology residency after a 20-year sleeping time. It's waking back up, so that's really awesome. And Jess Goldstein, who's going to be the program director for that program, is an incredible medical educator and clinician. So I'm super excited to work with her on that program. I think as with many of the cities in the Midwest, it's really livable, easy to get around, good cost of living, great place to raise a family. I like that timer feature. Also, I really wanted to push the AI button in the main room, but I didn't.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Wortman-Shope, for sharing about your program. Next, we would like to have Children's Mercy Hospital. If your representative could unmute and tell us all about your program.
Sure. Hi, thanks so much for having us. I'm Emily Killow. I'm one of the associate program directors at Children's Mercy in Kansas City. Dr. Ross Newman is our program director. We've both been in our current roles going into our 9th year as program director and associate program director. So similar to what Dr. Wortman-Shope just said, you're going to hear a lot of similar things. We have, I think, a lot of similarities in a lot of the programs across the country. So Children's Mercy is located in Kansas City, Missouri, and we're just kind of 4 hours away from St. Louis Children's on the other side of the state. And so similar, we straddle a state line. So we are located in Kansas City, Missouri, but we serve kids from kind of the other half of Missouri and then a lot of Kansas as well. So we have a large catchment area. It's a kind of regional pediatric referral center. We're a level 1 trauma center. It's a really busy place. So we promise you'll see tons of patients. You can see the numbers there, but it's a busy emergency room, busy ICUs. There's over 850 pediatric faculty. We were founded back in the 1800s in 1897 by a female physician and a female dentist, the Berry sisters. And so we're really still proud of kind of our founders, and we keep with their goals of striving to have an inclusive community where everyone feels welcome, and we really try to support and reflect the diversity of the patients that we serve. We have a large catchment area, like I said, so we have patients from urban areas, suburban, and rural areas. Some of the things that we're really proud of, we have a robust quality improvement curriculum. We also have an awesome global health track that if you're interested in global health, you should take a closer look at that. We have an advocacy track where you can be part of an advocacy collaborative with residents from across the state of Missouri. One of the unique programs one of the unique kind of features at our program is called our Chico's Clinic. So it is sorry, I have kids in the background too, so let me just kick them out of this room. So we have a Chico's Clinic. It's our Spanish-speaking continuity clinic. So if you are able to speak a moderate level of Spanish, you get paired with a faculty member who also is fluent in Spanish. You'll have a primary sort of Spanish-speaking patient population in your continuity clinic. And then we have a language coach who works with you in your continuity clinic to provide you feedback on your language skills and a lot of specific like medical Spanish language development. So it's a really awesome program if that's something that you're interested in. One thing that's a little bit different about our curriculum is that last year we transitioned to an X+Y scheduling model. So what that looks like for us is you do 4 weeks of a rotation. And sometimes it's 2 weeks and 2 weeks, so that 4 weeks can look a little bit different. And then you do a 1-week ambulatory experience where you do continuity clinic in the afternoons and typically advocacy, an academic half day, and some other clinical experiences in the morning. So our advocacy rotation, we have a track, but the rotation's blended in for everyone in our program. We also offer a child abuse and neglect rotation. So that's near and dear to my heart because I'm a child abuse and neglect pediatrician. We have other kind of unique experiences blended in. From a wellness perspective, we have a licensed clinical social worker who's embedded within our graduate medical education program. And she's available to provide one-on-one support. Her office is right next to mine in person. So she can provide brief support. She can provide referrals and crisis interventions, and she's wonderful. She's also helping with some wellness efforts and interest groups throughout the residency and fellowship programs. We have free lunch and lots of the same benefits you've heard from everyone else, parking and all of those things as well. And then we have diversity initiatives that we're really proud of. So we have a health, equity, and anti-racism. We call it HEART curriculum. So we have a simulation workshop and conference schedule that's run by our GME director of diversity. And she's one of our pediatric emergency medicine physicians. And then we also have a mentoring program for faculties and trainees that is available in professional and sort of social mentorship, and people meet with their mentors throughout the year. And then, like you've heard, Midwest is the best. We love Kansas City. We think it's an awesome location. There are a lot of places that residents live close to the hospital, and then other people live kind of further out. There's tons to do in Kansas City, lots of great sporting teams. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are here, and Taylor Swift. So that's my selling point. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Killo, for telling us about your program. Next up is Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital. If your representative would like to unmute and tell us about your program.
Hi, everyone. My name is Angelique Reedus McCoy. I am one of the Associate Program Directors at Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital's Pediatric Residency Program. Dr. Myers is out in Disney World, which is one of his favorite places. He is our PD. He goes there an innumerable amount of times a year. So he's in one of his favorite places right now. So I'm happy to represent. So a little bit about Rainbow. So we are similar to a lot of our Midwest cities. We are right in the heart of Northeast Ohio, right on the lake, and have that beautiful range of seasons and experiences here as well. For our patients, we really do have this really lovely blend of the urban area, which is where we're located, right in the heart of Cleveland, but right kind of accessible to our suburban practices as well. And so our residents get an opportunity to spend a large part of their ambulatory time in our urban centers, but also have a robust amount of time in the suburban practices beginning in their second year. We also are not too far from our Amish community and some of our more rural areas outside of the Cleveland area and some of the surrounding counties outside of Cuyahoga County where Cleveland is. And so there have been residents, particularly for those who are really interested in rural medicine, can use a lot of that elective time that others have talked about. We do have a large individualized curriculum, and there have been those who've used some of that time to expand their experiences, to experience some of our rural areas here in the Cleveland area. So a really lovely area to train. There's really no lacking of diversity in terms of experiences. For residents who do have a particular interest in PEDS and want to explore a track, we have our 4 tracks, including global health, which is run by a lovely group of docs here, and they really provide a lot of focused mentorship around global health, both at home and away. And obviously COVID took a little bit of a hit with our global health track for a bit, but we have been able to have our residents begin again to have experiences, including I think Honduras, Nicaragua, Uganda as well, most recently. We also have an advocacy track, also led by an amazing team of advocates and really robust like advocates, not just here at Rainbow, but across the state. And this is another opportunity for residents to really hone in on their specific interests, decide, what areas they want to explore more, and have focused mentorship around creating an advocacy project and doing that longitudinally through residency. Similarly, we have our research track and our med ed track, both of which, again, wonderfully supported with great mentorship. We are affiliated with Case Western Reserve University, and so those in our med ed track not only have opportunities to teach their peers, but also medical students here at Case and beyond. So really lots of opportunities to really create a space that allows you to learn in the way that you hope to learn, get the most you can out of your program. We are here in the city of Cleveland. It's a for real city. Like, you're gonna deal with a lot of the challenges as well as the assets and strengths that pretty large cities have. We have a level 1 trauma center, our highest level PICU and NICUs as well. And so one of our referral centers for Northeast Ohio for sure. And again, a really large range of pediatric subspecialties, pretty much any subspecialty that you're interested in, you'll have that exposure to. And our faculty are just waiting to wrap their arms around you as mentors in their respective areas. Really quickly, as it relates to curriculum, we also have the X plus Y schedule. We were one of the original PEDS programs in the pilot for X plus Y. We have 6 weeks of a combination of ED, emergency medicine, ICU, or floors. Our interns wonderfully do not take call, and so it's either day shift or night shift, and very, very minimal call for our 2nd and 3rd years. And also with the X plus Y schedule during the 2-part, which is our ambulatory time, residents really get an opportunity to kind of bond, similar to some of our other programs. We have flights, which is what we call our 4 cohorts of residents. And so they rotate through their X plus Y together. We have academic half days during those times as well, to be able to kind of sit down and just really absorb kind of all of those areas that we sometimes are rushing through as we're learning on the go. Lots and lots of opportunities for community involvement and advocacy. I work really closely with our Center for Equity, Diversity, Inclusion Office for community engagement opportunities that residents have been growing their experiences in and really working to do more. I'll just throw in my little last plug for Cleveland. All the sports teams, the Guardians are actually doing pretty okay right now. The Cavs, we're doing okay as well. The Browns are very iffy, but they're very fun to watch. There's no city like Cleveland when it comes to sports.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Rita McCoy, for telling us all about your program. Next up is Nationwide Children's Hospital. If your representative would like to unmute and tell us about your program.
Hello, everybody. Happy to be your last of the evening. I am Chris Jones. I am one of the APDs of the residency. I have been in this role for about 3 years. Did my training up in Cleveland, actually, and been down here. I'm also an East Coaster, so came to the Midwest and have stayed here. I've been down in the Midwest for now over 10 years, so it is the best, factual. Becky can't be here. She is also on vacation. Becky is a lifer. She's been here forever. So Becky literally is obsessed with our program. That is why she's the best PD alive. Sorry to all of you. You're all wonderful, but she takes the cake. So I figured I'd go a little different than everyone else, and I'm going to go backward. I'm going to talk about location first, and then I'm going to hopefully move forward with some of the other things because our slide looks a little busy. So location, Columbus, I'm obsessed. Again, 14th largest city in the country. Everyone mentioned easy accessibility, living, cost of living, all that is fantastic. Our airport is probably one of the easiest airports I've ever been to. I just flew in from St. Lucia, and I had the most wonderful flight back from Atlanta because, of course, that is an international flight. And then getting out of the Columbus airport took me 5.5 minutes to get from my gate to the car. So it is chef's kiss. That being said, it's a great place to live. Similarly, great sports. Not quite the same ones as Angelique has up in the Cleveland area. We've got more of like hockey with the Blue Jackets, Columbus Fury, which is women's volleyball. They are wonderful, new professional team down here. And the Columbus Crew, who was national champions in soccer as well. So that is a little bit about Columbus. Population served. We are right in the center of Ohio, so we get a lot of both rural, urban, and suburban. And we have a large catchment area, mostly in the southern core, as well as western West Virginia and southwestern Pittsburgh-ish area. I should say Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We have heavy populations of Nepali, Somali, as well as Amish, as Angelique had mentioned. So a lot of that brings different flavors and cultural competency that many people do not get exposed to in other realms and regions of the country. As far as our size, you already know we're large. We are 41 intern class. That is 35 categorical. We have a primary care track here. It's 4 residents every year get accepted into that. The focus is in primary care, so you do more of your training in that realm. It's a little different than the curriculum for categorical. Probably don't have the time to go through it here, but you can feel free to look on the website. It's quite wonderful. And then we also have an accelerated research program as well, and we have 2 spots for that, which is newer as well. We are also a trauma center. I am an ER doc by training, so that is like my obsession. We are a burn center. We have a poison control right down the street, NICU level 4, BMT. We don't send anything out, which I absolutely love as an ER doc. Stylistically, things that may make us a little different as far as rotations and things. We don't do any call. Our residents do all day or night float type situations. Some of the cool rotations that make us a little different. We have something called PECS, which is an outpatient experience where you are also similarly paired. Some of the other programs have it with outpatient providers not in the Nationwide Children's Network, so more private practice. So you get a little exposed to kind of people who are doing something a little bit different than maybe the local area surrounding the resident population. In addition to that, we have something called RESI, which is our Residents in School initiative. Really fun way to go to the grade schools and literally teach like the science topic, and all the children are like raising their hand like, ooh, I have a question. And they never have a question about anything about the lesson. It's usually about someone's sister's brother who one time pet a goat or something, which is fantastic and always a fun place to go out and teach the students. The residents absolutely love it. We have a very exciting kind of simulation curriculum as well that Dr. Stewart, one of our PICU docs, is running. And we also have resident assistants who help our residents with a lot of more of the secretarial kind of work, especially at the end of an admission process. A lot of that is helping with writing some of our discharge summary type things, as well as helping schedule follow-ups and kind of making sure families are getting their meds and all that good stuff, which is a fantastic thing that our residents absolutely adore. As far as DEI, because I would be a fool to not mention our work, Monica Hoff is our new director of our resident diversity, equity, and inclusion, and she has done a great job of making that process even better for us. We have the RDIC here, which is our Resident Diversity and Inclusion Coalition, run by our residents to kind of bring about a little bit more diversity, as well as kind of cultivating acceptance as well as belonging for those who may represent themselves as underrepresented in medicine. In addition to that, we have our PEARLS curriculum, which is a longitudinal curriculum over our 3 years. It stands for Pediatric Equity and Advocacy of Pediatric Resident Learning Series. And it is a fantastic way to learn about kind of the systemic biases as well as the institutional biases of different things and how we as residents and faculty can kind of change that for our patients. And then lastly, we have our advanced competencies, which are all certificate-based programs. You can do them over your 3 years in residency, and they range from research to QI, to advocacy, to medical education, 3 more, global health, informatics, and bioethics. We are excited to see you guys apply, and that is my time.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Jones, for that presentation. That concludes the program portion of the evening. Now we will open up the floor to a live Q&A. So you can post your comments in the chat and I can read them aloud. And if you don't feel comfortable, you can personal message me or Sheena, and we can also read the questions from there. All right, so first question, what is the most important thing you see on applications that make you decide for a candidate?
I would say this is not the most important thing, but I want us to be sure to address signaling and geographic preferences, which I'm sure will probably come up. I would say most people apply to too many programs. So as the receivers of your wonderful applications, we get a lot of them. And the reality is that people tend to live in the same area, like the Midwest generally. I usually make like a circle that does include all of the programs here. Interestingly, when you go to apply, we are divided down the middle in East Central or whatever it's called and West Central in Eris. When we are looking at your applications, I would say that if you signal our program or you have given a geographic preference to the Midwest in general, or you've chosen the no preference choice, those are things that will realistically probably have us look at your file in our first pass. We look at everybody, but it takes us time. And then I want to see at my program, I bet everyone will say the same, it should be clear that you enjoy children and their families. You should be noted to be a good communicator and a good team player. I don't care what your, now we don't even know your step 1 score because it's pass fail. That's amazing. We don't put a high priority on step 2 CK scores at our program. You just need to pass. That's a hurdle that you have to get over. So different programs put different priorities on step scores, but I would say experiences with children, life experiences that have shaped you, show us who you are as a person. You're all going to be in great shape. Pediatrics had open positions last year. So there's going to be enough spots for all of you, which is a great place to be. And so you can really feel confident going into the match. That's where I would start with. But I would say like the reality is signaling and geographic preference will help us look at your file sooner, at least at our program.
Thank you for sharing that. I see another question in the chat which says, how much an autonomy do residents have with the residency programs that also offer fellowships?
I am happy to take this one. I think we may have some of the more large number of fellowships offered here and sub-fellowships. So I would say the quick answer to you is it depends on the person, depends on the program, it depends on the attending, it depends on the resident, which I know is like a little bit of a cop-out of an answer. I would say, at least at our program, many residents kind of get a little bit more of the graduated autonomy, which term I kind of low-key hate. And it really just means as you get more experience and exposure, there's a little bit more trust built with your faculty that they feel a little bit more comfortable with you doing more things maybe on your own. Every program is going to be a little different. Some people are kind of thrust into that earlier than others. And then I think ultimately, if the question is like procedurally how much more autonomy you'll have, then maybe medical decision making, again, probably depends on the program. I know ours, in the beginning of any sort of fellowship, many of the trainees in the ICUs and ERs are a little bit more procedurally heavy in order to get the numbers that they also need to graduate their fellowship, which means in a larger program like all of ours, they usually are able to get their numbers pretty quickly in the setting of the first few months that they can allow residents to then step up to the bat. Which I think happens here, especially as someone that did ER fellowship in our program. So that is my quick and somewhat long-winded answer to say it varies. Everyone's going to tell you a different answer, but I would say most of the time it is resident dependent and your eagerness may actually help you.
Thank you. Our next question is, with interviews continuing to be virtual this year, what's the best way to gauge the culture of a program with Zoom interviews?
I can take this one. I take it in part because our residents love like the pre-interview happy hours. They have a blast, and I think our applicants really enjoy that time. And so I think taking advantage of those experiences where you do get a little bit more of what probably would have been the in-person dinner with residents, where you really get a chance to kind of gauge personalities, you get to gauge kind of how they bonded, how they interact with one another. Oftentimes they are coming in, you know, after a pretty long day shift, and if they can still smile and laugh and kind of, you know, be collegial and have fun with each other. I think that speaks a lot about, where you could end up in terms of the type of community that you'd be in. I'll also put a plug in for the Gram. I know a lot of our programs we post all the fun things that our residents do. And I get a little jealous sometimes I want to hang out with them. They only invite me sometimes though. But I think really getting a chance just to see kind of what residents do, both at work and how they find fun and meaning and joy at work, but also if they can connect and have fun with each other outside of the workspace.
Great, thank you. Another question is that what kind of red flags do you often see on applications, and how do you think should a candidate address those red flags?
I can try to take this one. I think one of the I don't know, the word red flag might mean different things to different people, but one of the things that concerns me is if there is something in your application that might catch someone like me reviewing your application's attention. For example, like you had to step away for a period of time. So there's a leave of absence on your application, or maybe you struggled in a certain class, or, you didn't pass step 1 the first time you took it. So what concerns me is if you don't explain those things. So everyone, we know people go through, life happens when you're in medical school. It happens again when you're in residency. We know that things come up in people's personal lives that are stressful and may affect how someone performs on a test or how a rotation or a, class goes for someone. So what's really important is that you explain it to us as reviewers so we understand what was happening at that point in your life. And so to kind of explain the leave of absence or explain the struggle. And so I think when those explanations are left out, that makes me go, what was going on here, and not have a full understanding. So I would just say it's important to address it in the application.
Thank you. And then this will be our last question of the night. Is there a specific number of gap years that will be rejected? And then kind of following up, how strict is the year of graduation as a filter?
I can try and take this. I think historically, what was often said by a lot of programs was like, more than 2 or 3 was maybe something that you take a look at. But I think that if you have a good reason why you've been gone, we are reviewing, like Dr. Schopp said, we are reviewing all these applications. And so if you have a good, distance traveled or something that you've been doing in those years, and you can explain what the gap years are, I don't think that it's a hard stop. It might, a prolonged period of time without explanation is more of a problem than any one. And I think especially if you're an international medical graduate and how you've been spending those times, and if you've been seeking out especially pediatric opportunities to demonstrate that you are prepared to transition into the US medical system and take care of children, I think that is a good use of that time, and just depends on the individual situation and how you've used that time.
All right, great, thank you. And we'll go back to the main room now.
So without further ado, we will start with Akron Children's Hospital. Dr. Ben-Zion, I think you're out there. I'm not sure who else, but anyone else, you can go ahead and unmute and I will get your timer going.
So thanks, Victoria. I do have, I am the one of the associate program directors for Akron Children's Hospital. I have one of my chief residents on as well tonight. And you're from my alma mater, so is the info there? Okay. So what I wanted to just talk about is that we are a freestanding children's hospital. We are a community-based but university affiliated. We're affiliated with Neomed. And we are really a large, busy hospital inpatient service with all the subspecialties, large PICU and NICU. And we have a very robust primary care network as well. Akron Children owns probably over 30 different primary care practices. And so we actually have the residents go into the community for their continuity clinic. And we serve a large Amish and immigrant population, particularly Nepali, in our area. I am gonna, I don't want to talk too much because I already was talking, and I'm gonna let Julia, I believe she's on, take over and tell us a little bit more about Akron and Akron Children's.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I am Julia Russell. I'm one of the chief residents at Akron Children's this year. I'm really fortunate to have just completed my residency, finished in June, and then started right into chief year. Akron Children's was the #1 program that I put on my rank list, so I'm really happy to match there and really love my residency experience. I apologize if I'm saying anything Dr. Benzion already said. I got lost in the Zoom purgatory coming into this breakout room and missed some of what she said. But some of the things that I'll really highlight that stood out to me about what I loved about the program was that we are a standalone children's hospital, which was something that was very important to me. And I would say that we're a large size program, but with a more of a medium sized feel. I think that I had great relationships with all of the residents in my program. I knew everyone by name. I worked with everyone at some point throughout the year, with us having a total of 72 residents and 26 per class. That's very easy to do. Because we're such a large hospital with a lot of residents, there's also a lot of patients who are coming. And I think that our area in Northeast Ohio makes us have a very large catchment area in the Northeast Ohio, Western Pennsylvania, and into Southern Ohio and West Virginia. We get patients coming from all over to our hospital, which means lots of different pathologies, lots of different patient populations, and lots of learning for the residents. And then I think that our program really offers something for everyone, which is something that I really love. There's lots of opportunities for individualized curriculum to meet your needs and to target your career goals, whether you want to go into primary care. We have a very robust continuity clinic system out in the community. We also have every subspecialty at our hospital. So I can proudly say my resident class had 100% fellowship match rate. So all of our residents are very successful at getting into the fellowships of their dreams. I think that if you're interested in medical education, we have an excellent resident is teachers track that I would like to highlight. If you're interested in global health, we're developing, this is the first year of our global and public underserved communities track that is starting this year. And there's a number of standalone global health opportunities as well in the Dominican Republic, or no longer in Haiti actually because of the crisis occurring there, but the Dominican Republic, Nepal, India, Nicaragua, lots of opportunities there as well. And something that I really enjoyed was going to medical camps over the summers. So you can go to diabetes camp or fresh air camp for patients with trachea vents. Lots of different opportunities based on what your interests are. I think that kind of highlights some of the reasons why I loved Akron Children's. I really resonated with what Dr. Burrows said about the Midwest culture and the Midwest feel, because I think that that's something that definitely made me want to stay in Ohio for residency, and something that rings true at our program.
Thanks for done, Victoria.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for sharing about your wonderful program. We will give a few seconds in case people want to jump in and out of the breakout room before we go on to the next presentation. But just so everyone can prepare, our next presentation will be McGaw Medical Center of Northwestern University, Lurie Children's. And I think I saw Dr. Michelson. So you guys can go ahead and unmute and I will start your timer.
Thanks so much, Victoria, and to the FPR group for leading so many amazing seminars, and welcome to all of the applicants. As the intro said, you're picking the best field, and we really want you to pick the best region, which is the Midwest. And we're so proud to be an extra large program with these other large programs. And I've always thought that, and listening to Sabrina too, it reiterates all of these programs are so much more similar than they are different. And it's such a sort of honor to get to talk about what we do with colleagues and friends. So just to highlight a few of the things about Lurie Children. So it is a freestanding children's hospital associated with Northwestern University. We are a large program and growing. We increased our complement this past year to include 36 categorical residents, 4 peds neuro, and we're going to become the 5th combined peds PM&R program in the country, and feel really excited about that because of Shirley Ryan Ability Lab, which is a really exceptional pediatric rehab facility next door. We are academic affiliated and really pride ourselves in having exceptional clinical training in a really exceptional hospital in a really exceptional city. Lurie Children's is the tallest children's hospital in the world. It is beautiful, and it has, just as they talked about at Akron, all of the subspecialties, which we believe means that we can expose our residents to the sort of incredible breadth of pediatrics, from common diagnoses to sort of quaternary referrals from a large catchment area, and people who come in from across the region and country and world for the care or specialty care that is provided. We are really proud to match people into the primary care network in Chicago and Illinois and Indiana and Michigan, but also into their fellowships of their choice and into combined fellowships. We had someone this year stay at Lurie for combined ICU and HEMOC training. And so really that breadth from community pediatrics to subspecialized care. We're really proud of our educational conferences and have the whole residency coming together on a daily basis. The chiefs this year are holding pagers so that people can focus and really engage in incredible case-based learning that often comes from the patients admitted that week to our services, and the care being provided, and the science and the care that sort of underpins the work to take care of them and their families. We have a really active residency committee, which is a group of residents and faculty who are really engaged in medical education and who've been in hyperdrive, helping us think about how to respond to the ACGME changes that we're really excited about for next year, getting prepared for them this year, and how they offer opportunities to really innovate what we do that we really love, opportunities to expand into areas that we believe matter a lot for the practice of pediatrics and the epidemiology of pediatrics, and to prepare our workforce. We have a really robust physician scientist training program. So the Stanley Manny Research Institute, which is the research arm of Lurie, has $100 million in NIH funding annually and supports a PSTP program. So for anyone who's interested in the integrated or accelerated research paths, we're really excited to support you. We also have an institute which supports the advocacy arms of Lurie, and what they have coined community responsive Peds, which is the idea that this big hub for pediatrics in Chicago should be responsive to what the families and the communities of Chicago need, and responding to that as we build out community-based and policy-based initiatives. We're really proud of our global health programs and send multiple residents every year to Tanzania and Bolivia, and also welcome pediatric residents from those countries to our hospital. We're really proud to serve a really diverse population and care about making our workforce mirror that. 35% of our residents are underrepresented in medicine, and 50% of our APD and PD team is, and we believe that that diversity makes us better, stronger, more creative, and more thoughtful, and are really thoughtful about our EDI program initiatives and hospital initiatives. And Chicago is the best big city in the world, voted by Condé Nast 17 years in a row. And I'm a relatively new transplant to Chicago, but returning to the Midwest, and think that it is a city that just keeps giving and giving. And I'm going to pass quickly to our amazing Chief Avni Singh, who's just going to give a quick welcome to everyone as well.
Hi, everyone. I'm Avni. I'm one of the rising chiefs at Lurie. I've been here. I'm in my 3rd year right now, and I've been here around Chicago for a very long time. I agree with Kate. It's the best city in the world.
Perfect timing. Thank you guys so much for talking about Lurie's. And we will again just give a few minutes. Attendees, you can jump in and out of the breakout room as you please. And we will get ready for our next program, Indiana University. I think I saw Dr. Kane in the audience. So if you want to unmute, I will get your timer started.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for putting this together. We really appreciate having the opportunity to come and talk with everybody. And it was nice to see Julia. Hey, Julia, we just met last week. She came to our institution for our chief conference. So welcome. I am really excited to talk to you about Indiana University and all of the things that we have to offer here. Our program is 25 categorical pediatric residents, 14 med peds residents per year. We have 2 child neuro residents, 2 neurodevelopmental disability residents per year, 2 emergency medicine pediatric residents, 3 triple board residents per year, and a peds genetics resident per year. So we have about 48 residents per year. And we also are looking to expand that number out this year as well. I think it really gives us a really good opportunity for our residents to get to know each other, but also to have all the flexibility of being in that larger program where they can make trades and have call coverage, being able to take maternity leave, paternity leave, and not really have to worry about coverage in the hospital. Our residents end up doing about 50% primary care, about 50% going into fellowship, and all of them this past year have matched into their top programs, both here at Indiana University and all across the country, into top programs across the country. And we were really thrilled with them and their match list this year. Really happy with all of our residents who ended up going into primary care. Our residents are very, very, very highly recruited across the state of Indiana and across the Midwest. And all of our residents who went into primary care were able to get their top choice of their jobs. Our hospital is a large freestanding children's hospital affiliated with Indiana University. And so we have a level 3 and a level 4 NICU within our unit, so 105 beds total, a 35-bed PICU. We have our burn unit here, a level 1 trauma center. We have no need to have to transfer patients away for the inability to care for them. So really being able to keep all of our patients there and for our residents to get excellent learning from that. I will do both full transparency. I'm not a Midwest native. I came from the East Coast and I did my training in Philadelphia and residency in New Jersey. When I first came to Indiana for fellowship, I was a little bit nervous about what I had the perceived lack of diversity being in Indiana. But I will say that our state is very diverse. Our city is actually very, very diverse, and the patients that we take care of are very diverse. So we have a very large African-American population, a large Burmese population, a large Amish population, a large Hispanic population. And so our residents really get that opportunity to see and take care of all types of patients. Listed here, we have really trying to work on, we're trying to highlight our tracks that we have. We divide up our tracks into both clinical and scholarly tracks. And so as a resident there, you have the opportunity to be a part of one scholarly track and one clinical track. Our scholarly and tracks include our research track, our global health track, a medical education track, a health equity track, and a leadership track. And then our clinical tracks are a primary care track, a critical care track, a hospitalist fellowship track, a subspecialty fellowship track, and a pediatric emergency medicine track. We have very strong resident benefits, including our paternity leave policy is very strong. Our health insurance policy is fantastic and covers not only the resident, but their entire family as well, with no cost out of pocket to the resident. And one thing that I always like to highlight being in Indiana is that our health insurance covers all procedures that any residents may need, whether or not that can be done in the state, and that can be all done with our health insurance. For resident benefits, we really also try to offer a very flexible holiday schedule. We take wellness very seriously and provide an opt-out counseling center for all of our residents as soon as they start coming into the residency program. And we've instituted wellness half days this past year, which our residents really find to be meaningful and helpful for them. We do a lot of different diversity initiatives here. We have a lot of different mentorship and engagement committees. We have an underrepresented in medicine 4th-year rotation that brings in students from all over the country. And our residents are really involved in the community. Local outreach, we have one of the largest community programs called the Dyson program, where our residents get to go and do advocacy all throughout the city and all throughout the state. And then Indianapolis is really a fun city. I didn't realize how cool it is of a city until I moved here, but there are a lot of different sporting events. We have Caitlin Clark now, so that's a big draw to our city. A lot of different shows, restaurants, food scene is fantastic. So really, I think whatever you would like to do in your free time, you're going to be able to do it in Indianapolis. So thank you all so much for coming.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kane, for talking about Indiana University's program. So again, feel free to jump in and out, and we will move on to our next program, University of Michigan. Dr. Burrows, feel free to unmute, and I will start your timer.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So I'm Heather Burrows. I'm the program director at the University of Michigan. I am a lifer here at the University of Michigan, but I say that my dad was in the military, so I lived everywhere else before I came here, found the best place to come and stayed here. I am a general pediatrician, and I feel really strongly that one of the things that's really important about a general pediatric residency is that you get exposure to all the different areas of pediatrics, both high acuity and primary care. Some of the things that I think are particularly great about our program, we are not technically a freestanding children's hospital because we have a hallway that connects us kind of like an umbilical cord to the rest of the University of Michigan, but we are our own building and all pediatrics from head to toe. But one of the things that's really nice is that if you come here with a partner, you can meet in the cafeteria, either in the children's hospital, which has the best cafeteria, or in the adult hospital, which is a little bit bigger, for lunch or coffee or other snacks during the day, which is kind of a nice thing. My husband's an adult doctor, and I enjoy being able to do that. But lots of great opportunities for people who come as part of a couple. We think mentorship. Ooh, I don't have a different microphone. I'm sorry. Is this any better?
A little bit. Yeah, it sounds a little like staticky, maybe. Maybe just because I was like moving around against your sweater, maybe.
I will hold it out and see if that helps. Otherwise, I'm talking directly to the screen, and I think that won't work. Sort of like I talked about the importance of family and connectiveness, we feel like mentorship is a really important part of our program. You have a resident advisor that's part of your team from the very beginning, along with the chief resident who's going to meet with you monthly during your internship year to help transition you. You have an associate program director or assistant program director who's going to meet with you for your semi-annual meetings as well. And that really forms the basis for your web of mentorship. We assume that your continuity clinic director, continuity clinic preceptor is going to be a mentor, as well as your career mentor, scholarly activity, and quality improvement. So our goal is that you have a whole web of people that help you throughout all of residency. We have a mix of people going into all the different areas of pediatrics. So usually about a third of our graduates go into primary care, about a third of our graduates go into fellowship, and then another third go into directly into hospital medicine or to fellowships in hospital medicine. And we've been really successful for many years with our matches and with job hunts for all of our residents, finding great opportunities, both within the state of Michigan, but really across the country, and sometimes outside of the country as well, which is really fun. Ann Arbor, where University of Michigan is located, is routinely voted one of the best places to live in the country. We have over 200 parks in town, so if you like to get outside and get some fresh air and revitalize, there's great things to do there. There's Big Ten sports, which is really fun. Detroit is about a 30 to 40-minute drive from us, and so if you want big city sports, you can get there without having to live in a big city. Many of our residents live really close to the hospital. We have folks who bike to work, which is a really great aspect of living here. We have every single subspecialty that you can imagine represented here, and we get patients who come from not just the state of Michigan, which can include a 14-hour drive from the Upper Peninsula, but also from the states in the region and from other parts of the country and from all over the world. We take care of everything here, and we don't send patients away, which I think is really great for learning, but we're also the primary care network for this area, so you're going to see all the really standard bread and butter types of things with pediatrics. We have a couple different opportunities to be involved at the institutional level. So we have one of the longest standing house officer unions here at the University of Michigan from the 70s, actually, and some opportunities for our residents to get involved in that union. We have a health equity quality scholars program where we have a subset of our residents every year apply to be a part of that. They work with residents and fellows from other programs at Michigan to be able to build strong relationships. We also have a medical educators track for residents who really want to spend dedicated time doing more medical education with our amazing medical students and with their peers. We have a lot of opportunities for global health. We have established programs in Alaska with the Native Alaskan healthcare services, as well as in Nepal, and programs in China and India. We also have a rural health program in northern Michigan that residents can participate in. So really lots of opportunities to get some really cool care. I also think that I think what else to tell you about Michigan. We have the best mascot of any residency program. So a child drew a picture of a dinosaur years ago that we call Roars, that we emblazon on everything we have on our t-shirts. We have pins and buttons. It's the best one.
Thank you so much, Dr. Burrows, for telling us about University of Michigan's program. And now, again, feel free to jump in and out. We will move on to our next program, Medical College of Wisconsin. I think I saw Dr. Weisgerber in the audience. Feel free to unmute, and I will start your timer.
Thanks, Victoria. Thank you for giving us a chance to talk about the Medical College of Wisconsin in Milwaukee. We're very excited to tell you about our program. Lots of numbers in this program highlights. I'll say similar things to other programs. We're a pretty big program, lots of amazing exposures and all kinds of different things that'll make you a very well-rounded resident. But if you ask our residents, the most important thing to them is the atmosphere of camaraderie and kind of the close-knit community feel we have within our program. Our residents love that we are the major hospital for kids admitted in Milwaukee and the primary care home in our ambulatory clinics for them, as well as being a referral center in the region and nation and even internationally for some things. We have amazing resident-led committees that really make a difference. Our residents lead our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, an Advocacy Committee, Wellness Committee, Residency Advisory Panel, and a Recruitment Committee, and more. We have pretty fantastic mentorship in our program and believe in the concept of the mentor team, whether it's faculty advisors, track mentors, our coordinators, our continuity clinic preceptors, our wonderful associate program directors, of whom Beth Aubles joined us today. So I'll let Beth say a quick hi to everybody.
Hey everyone, I'm Beth Auble. I'm one of the associate program directors in Milwaukee.
That is fantastic. We have fantastic chief residents, and we have peer mentors and certified peer supporters that our residents get trained to be an official peer supporter for each other, which is really important to them. We have a curriculum that's our new XYZ curriculum launched this year, which is a modified 6+2 X+Y schedule. If you're into the lingo with X+Y scheduling, that we're off to a great start. We offer training tracks, including global and community health, specialty/research, primary care, hospital medicine, hybrids of those, as well as a career identification track for residents still figuring out what they would like to do. We offer amazing electives from A to Z, anywhere from allergy, advocacy electives, medical education to Z, zany, creatively designed electives by our residents. We probably average 2 new electives per year. Some of the most recent ones, medical informatics, Hocus, point of care ultrasound, were all created by our residents. Beth, do you have any favorite electives that in the A to Z family?
Of course. I love our endocrine elective because I'm an endocrinologist and I get to work with our residents really closely there. We also have selective time where it's increasing the exposure for our residents to hang out with endocrine, which is sometimes just a 1 week, like a touch point. So deciding if they want to do more time with us, like an entire 4-week elective. I also really love our research elective because we have some of the best research mentors, I feel like, in the country that are really willing to take residents on and be part of huge projects. They will often present these works nationally, sometimes internationally. We give out research awards every year from our GME office, and invariably like 3 or 4 or 5 of our residents will get these awesome both monetary and prestigious awards every year from their research work. So those are my favorite, Mike.
Fantastic, Beth. Thank you for sharing that. Our residents, and we are very passionate about diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging in our program. We have a very strong resident-led DEI committee with 5 specific subcommittees, including recruitment and retention, curriculum, advocacy, community engagement, on scholarship. And our residents are doing some very cool things there. We have something we call the Believe curriculum, which stands for Belonging, Equity, Celebrating Diversity, Inclusion, Eliminating Racism, and Advocating for Justice, with elements that are in all aspects of our program, in orientation, in our noon conference series, in our intern and morning reports. Our residents lead a cultural humility series, as well as throughout our rotations, that we really try to have a comprehensive program. We have some cool new simulation with upstander training and a workshop we just launched, and poverty simulation, and much, much more. We have a very wonderful wellness committee our residents lead, and have several arms of wellness that they're passionate about. We have something called Social Fridays, where we go to a lot of breweries in Milwaukee. Milwaukee is a wonderful beer community, among other things. We have a financial wellness curriculum that's very cool, a nutrition arm with healthy snacks in the lounge and more. We're all feeling sad about the end of the Summer Olympics in the world, but the Summer Olympics just began in our program. We have Winter and Summer Olympics every year with our residents, which is cool, and lots going on in that department. As well as, we love the location of Milwaukee. It's the 31st largest city in America. It's on beautiful Lake Michigan. Lots to do. Beth, you have 17 seconds to tell us about arts and stuff.
Oh my gosh, there's a festival every weekend, at least one. There's usually 27 festivals. They're all amazing. Cultural festivals from every background. Plus, who saw Top Chef? That was in Milwaukee. You got to see the beautiful art museum.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much for talking about Medical College of Wisconsin's program. We have one last program, University of Chicago, Comer Children's. Dr. Orlov, I think I saw you in the audience. So if you want to unmute, and I will start your timer for you.
Hi, everyone. It's so nice to meet you. I'm Nikki. I'm the PD at University of Chicago, and I have the pleasure of being here with one of my amazing superstar senior residents, Rose, who I will let sort of introduce herself and tell you about the program after I share a few quick things. We are on call together tonight, so thank you for very strategically organizing this on one of our call nights. We're very grateful for that. So I will let you all come to our interview day and hear all the details of our program and what we do and why we do it. You can also read about all those things on this slide, but I think what I will share with you is that I am a lifelong U Chicago person. I came here actually officially 20 years ago when I came for medical school in 2004, and I stayed here for medical school. I looked all over for residency, and nothing compared to this place. I stayed on as a chief, and then I moved into a faculty role at that time as an APD, and then transitioned this last year into PD. So I know and love this place inside and out, and can tell you all the details about it. And since transitioning into the PD role, have had truly one of the most fun years of my entire career. A few things I want to highlight for you before I turn it over to Rose. We do have some really unique specialty track, including 2 tracks that allow you to graduate from here in 4 years with either a master's in public policy or an MHPE. So if that interests you, please do check that out on our website. We have a brand new PSDP track this year. I saw there was a lot of conversation in the chat about an IRP and an ARP, and we have those as well, but I was talking about a patient, so I wasn't able to respond to those. But if you are interested, please do come tomorrow night. We have a special virtual open house about our PSDP tracks, so you can log in and find more information about that on our Instagram and Twitter or X. You can learn more about that. We really are, what I think is the most unique about us is that we are situated on the far south side of Chicago, where we care for Chicago's absolute most vulnerable children. And that is my life's mission and work. And that is why I've been here for the last 20 years. If you are dedicated and committed to serving the underserved, this is the place for you. And you will see really, truly some of the most unimaginable things, but have the opportunity to be welcomed into the lives of your patients and to really hear their stories. And that, to me, is the thing that sort of fills my cup and has me coming back every day. We are a program that is really organic. So we listen to our residents on a daily or regular basis, actually probably not daily, but on a very regular basis, and have a very active resident education council where they bring their concerns to us, and we then work as a team to collaborate and figure out how to solve those problems. And one of the major things that we have been focused on over the past year plus has been preparing for these ACGME requirements, which are coming in July. And we are really ready to hit the ground running and to be we will be in line with the ACGME requirements. And the beauty of that is that we will then be able to foster you in your sort of career goals, whatever that might be. We can then set your individualized learning curriculum to meet your career goals. So I will stop there. The one last thing I want to say before I turn it over to Rose is that we are very committed to holistic review and to recruiting a very diverse resident body. So we'll let the star of the show talk, and Rose can tell you more about our program.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rose Pitkin. I'm a third-year resident here. I'm originally from Massachusetts, and I went to medical school in Connecticut, and now I am a transplant to Chicago, and I have absolutely fallen in love with the city and a lot of the Midwest culture. I am, some of the things I do in the program, just to give you a sense of what we have available. So I am on that resident leadership committee that Nikki just talked about, and then I am in our merits, which is track, which is the medical education track, which is just I do within the 3-year program. I would work with our House Staff Pride group for LGBT residents and fellows across GME, and then I do a little bit of work in the GME resident group as well. But the thing I think I love about Comer and the University of Chicago, it stands out, is like this foundation of community. And I mean that on like 3 different levels. I mean, within our program, I think the people are wonderful. I think wherever you go, you'll find the people that, you know, fit with you. And I know you do it over Zoom, but I think you will still find the people you think are best fit for you. I find them wonderful. They're reliable. I can lean on them emotionally. I can lean on them for social things, whatever it is. I like the community in the hospital. It's very collaborative. We have wonderful social workers. We have physical therapists, occupational therapists, nurses. I'm on a first name basis with many, many people who work here after a couple of years of being here, and I love that about this place. And then I have really come to love the South Side and the patients here that we take care of, and just the resilience they have. It's really special to be able to be part of that community.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much for talking about Comer Children's. So that concludes our presentations for the evening from all of the programs in this breakout room. We are going to do a live Q&A in this breakout room. Again, thank you so much for everyone who's been answering the questions in the chat. That's super helpful. You can continue to ask questions in the chat, and program directors and associate program directors and coordinators, feel free to continue answering them as well in the chat. I will just start with a few general questions, and anyone can feel free to unmute and jump in and answer them at any time. So to kick off our first question for Q&A, how can an applicant stand out? What are some of the most desired qualities that you guys look for in pediatric residency applications?
Whenever anybody asks me this question, I always say, have something that you're passionate about and share that passion with us. I think one of the reasons that I love pediatrics is that communication and that building of relationships is so important in what we do every day in the care that we provide. And we want to show that you can know that you can do that too, that you can tell us about something that you're excited about and have us get excited about it too, because you're not going to be able to get a 5-year-old to do what you want unless you can get them excited about what it is that you want them to do.
Yeah, I completely agree with Heather and also Sabrina in the chat. I think talking about what you're passionate about, ways that, you know, you have pursued that passion, and that spans from work that you have done in medical school to, you know, an instrument that you have played for many decades and is a huge part of sort of who you are and how you have built your life, telling us about the people that make up your network. We are so excited to learn about you and what brings you to pediatrics and what makes you unique. And so sharing that, and I always tell people to share with as many specifics as they can too, because again, that just paints a picture that allows us to, I loved how Nikki finished it with, we do a holistic review, and I think it really allows us to read your story and the application and how powerful that is.
Yeah, I was just going to build on that. I know I speak for probably all of the programs here that we conduct holistic review, which means that we don't really look at your numbers and say, we need a board score of X and you have to be higher than that. We are really looking at you as a whole person and want to get to know who you are genuinely. So come as your sort of most authentic self. If you come and try to pretend that you're somebody who you aren't, or tell a story that isn't truly your story, like that will be obvious on the interview day. And we're really looking for people who are going to fit into the culture and the community of our program. So being yourself is the best way to be.
Thank you so much for everyone who chimed in and answered that question. I just saw a question in the chat about signaling, and I feel like that's kind of a hot topic that a lot of people are curious about. So if anyone wants to talk about like the importance of signaling or any like strategies to signaling, I think that'd be very helpful to applicants.
I guess I can go. I would say that, we understand that you only have 5 signals, and it doesn't mean that we're not going to consider you if you don't signal our program, because we get that. But again, it's kind of like a piece in the puzzle, right? As it's like, if you signal us and you want this geographic area, and, it's like, again, we're trying to find the best fit, just like you guys are. So are you interested in being in our area? Are you interested in this environment or not? So I would say, use your signals how you want them, if you're interested in the 5 programs. And we also understand that just because you signal a program and that might not end up being one of your top programs, even though that's what you thought initially, it can totally change, right? So you might have used one of your signals because, it's a very prestigious or, highly ranked institution, and then you realize that that's not your fit. So, but, use them the best that you can, and we understand that you have 5.
Kind of building on that too, I would say be strategic and smart about your location signals, because I will say that it can be difficult for us to be able to interview a ton of people who either do not signal our program, do not signal our region, or do not say that they have no preference in a region. I think if it is one of those 3 things that it is some people at APPD, Association of Pediatric Program Directors, kind of did some studies based on this, and if one of those things gives you the best chance of getting an interview at the location that you want to be at. Another thing just to keep in mind, just so that everyone's on the same page, once the interviews are established, the signaling really should go out the window. Okay, so program directors are not allowed to be looking at signaling or who signaled who when it comes to making up a rank list or deciding how they're going to put that together. It's really just about how to determine the interviews.
I think along with thinking about the limits to the number of signals that you have, someone asked about couples matching in the chat. And I think we really know that if you're couples matching with someone who's applying to a very competitive subspecialty, that your 5 signals are not going to be enough to be able to say, I want to be in those places. And it's always fine, especially if you're couples matching, to reach out to the program and just let them know, especially if you haven't heard. I think we all talk with the other programs at our institutions. Peds, because we tend to interview throughout the season, we tend to start interviewing sooner than a lot of the other specialties. And so you might get an interview offer before your partner does. And so how does that work and how do you balance that is, I think, one of the very big challenges of pediatrics and couples matching.
And that is our cue to head on back to the main room. I think if you just go and hit leave room, it'll automatically take you all back to the main room for the final part of our presentation. Thank you all again for joining us in this breakout room.
All right, awesome. As we all trickle back here, we just wanted to say thank you so much to all of the program directors, all of the residents who were able to join us, all of the associate program directors, course coordinators. We do really appreciate your time being here. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the 2 webinars for the regional series that we have left. We have on August 15th, our Southern Large Program webinar, and on August 19th, our Northeast Large webinar. So we really hope to see you there. We hope that you learned something tonight about the Midwest programs, and we hope that you continue to check them out and look at all of their different resident happy hours that they have to offer, because we know that they are doing an awesome job of letting you guys get to know them. So we do appreciate their time. We appreciate your time being here too as well to learn more about these programs. So like I said, check out those webinars that we have coming up. You can use that QR code in the corner as a one-time registration link to register for the rest of the webinars for the season. And then we will see you again after a little break in October for one more to talk about the interview season. But we'll put that on pause until we kind of get all those applications in and give you some time to breathe after that. Again, just one last thank you to everybody for being here tonight. If you have feedback for us, we would love to hear it. You can scan this QR code. This will take you to a post-webinar survey. Get us to know a little bit more about you and who you are and what kind of person we are tailoring these webinars to. And then also give you the opportunity to give us some feedback to see how we can improve to get you guys the most information possible in the most effective way. So we do hope that you will fill that out. But with that, we would just say thank you once again and have a good night, everybody. And hope to see you soon.